Hey, this is the Kubeflow community call for the 7th of May 2024. Uh, been a long time since I've hosted one of these, but we're having technical issues, so for now that's what I'm doing, but Josh is still here. And we haven't got a lot on the agenda right now, but I think the most important thing is the release. So do you want to give an update, Ricardo?
Yes, I can. Um, so, as we stated last release meeting, which means yesterday, we decided to cut the first release candidate for Kubeflow 1.9. This release candidate carries on upgrades on pipelines, cat tip training operator. Um, there's a new component, model registry. And there are some updates on the manifest as well, like Kubernetes 127 to 129 support, customized 5 to 1 and earlier releases. And also we replaced the OpenID authentication service to OAuth 2 proxy. Those are the release notes from each component um, that belongs to this release candidate. Um, but there's still a lot of work to do. We decided to cut that release because we had a lot of components a good um, with good features, and also that deserves a little bit of more testing. So we decided to cut the RC0 release, despite we're still waiting on other improvements like the HTO upgrade, Knative, and all other components. There's also um, Kubeflow notebooks that we're gonna plan for the RC1, the release candidate one for 190. We are expecting to release RC1 on May 27th. So there's pretty much a time for the distribution owners to start testing RC0 and start um, opening their issues for each components in case there's any blockers for their distributions. So that's a distribution testing phase has just begun, and I already contacted all of the distribution owners that it's up to them to start testing their own way and sending us feedback on RC0. When we have RC1, we expect to have some of these bug fixes already in, and then the rest of the components already upgraded uh, to the release we're expecting for Kubeflow 9. I think that's it. Documentation updates are still happening. It is expected to have the documentation to be updated until the last final release for Kubeflow 9. So it's probably final of the June, beginning of July, we'll have all of the documentation changes set. So um, help us verify if the documentation applies to the new features and the new component. Let us know if there are any blockers on the distributions, and we'll work at our best to have our final release in 1st July or at least July 8th. Guess that's it. If anyone has any questions or comments.
Yeah, I guess we're supporting a pretty broad range of dependencies. So, 3 different versions of Kubernetes. You've got Istio and Knative. So, I mean, the test matrix could get pretty large if you wanted to test all of those. Um, I'm wondering if we're recommending anything for people to start with, or that,
Well, I think that's up to the
Yeah,
distribution, right?
In general, we recommend, this is also why we had the 1.8.1 release to officially support Kubernetes 1.27. And then we recommend people to just install Kubeflow 1.9 on top of 1.27 and do the Kubernetes upgrades up to 1.29. So they are mostly used for intermediate steps, I would say. But the main focus is on 1.29.
I mean, and also that's mostly a thing for distributions to decide what they want to support on their distribution. Like you could be crazy and support everything, like I try and do, or you could support a couple.
Yeah, what I
Yeah.
said is for the raw manifest, not
I mean,
for
the raw
distribution.
manifests support every version pretty much, right? Except Istio, obviously. They only support the version of Istio they include, but
Officially, the raw manifest at the moment, we are aiming for 127 to 129, with a focus on 129. What's the distributions do that up to them?
and how do you validate compatibility with those versions?
At the moment, I step by step with the integration test on kind first 1.27 and 1.28 and soon 1.29.
Okay, and so coming back to Ricardo's original point around the things that are being required for RC1, what else is required for RC1? So we've got notebooks, which we can talk about, but what's the other things?
We have
Um,
K-serve, models, web app, and there is other components that we need upgrade.
So let's make a list. Let's make a list. So requirements for RC1, notebooks.
I just did Cert Manager. Let's see how good it will be in the end. Then we have to do Istio, Knative.
So when you're saying these things, what do you mean by them? You're just listing out dependencies.
Yes, this is these dependencies. We have to update them.
Yeah, but like what version are you going to go to and things like that?
Istio, we are probably 121, 122. Dex 2.39.1. Knative 1.12.4. Cert Manager 1.14.5. I think they are the
I
most
really
important.
recommend we stick with the 112 line of Cert Manager just because it's the LTS one. Most enterprises are going to be using that.
I'm also fine with that. At the moment, I think we can downgrade if that's really needed.
It's like the Cert Manager community only supports the other releases for a very short period of time, whereas the 112 line is getting support for like 10 years or something crazy. I don't know, probably not that, but
Then I would like
Let me interrupt for
to.
a while. Let's not forget that we have a tracker issue. I just sent on chat, so we should stick to all of the dependencies that are already mapped in that tracker issue. Okay.
so is okay,
if
that's
there
fine.
are
That's
any
manifest
questions,
versions.
you can.
Is there anything else though? So we got notebooks, model web app.
Let me just finish. Go to that issue. If possible, just add this to the meeting notes. This tracker must be up to date and sync with all of our intentions to use our dependencies. Okay, Julius and well, Matthew, we know
Where
that
is the link?
notebooks will be released 190.
Where
It's
is the
on
link?
chat.
Oh,
Let me open. Yeah, there are some changes. I think Argo will be 3.4 from pipelines. Dex will be a bit newer. Customize is fine. Cert Manager is fine. Kubernetes is fine. Istio might be 122. I'm not sure yet, but I think Argo is something we definitely have to fix. And
Julius, if possible, can you
yes,
update this table with the dependencies?
let me check whether I can. Then I will immediately. Yes, I can. Okay. Dex 2.39.1 run. Customize 5.2.1. Does someone know by heart which Argo version 3.4. whatever I think is in pipeline?
there's one additional thing to think about with Argo 3.4, which I don't know because I haven't delved super into the new Kubeflow pipelines release, but there was an issue with 3.4 that was the reason we weren't upgrading. And they did fix one of the issues, but I think that there's now going to be a requirement on a custom config on your Argo for it to work. So if users already have Argo installed, they still need to do which they shouldn't do really. Kubeflow pipelines does depend on a very specific version of Argo. But if they do, they need to know that they have to set like pod names v1 or something as like an environment variable.
I think at least the tests were successful, and also the test in the manifest repository after synchronizing Kubeflow pipelines 2.1.0 and 2.2.0. And
Okay,
we are
but
using one
did they
pipeline.
change? But have they set that setting though? Is what I'm saying. I haven't looked at their manifests.
I would have to look into the details, but I think they're using Argo 3.4, whatever.
Yeah, they definitely
If they-
are. But what I mean is, are they setting that custom setting? That's that's what I'm trying to figure out. But it doesn't matter. We can see that later. It's just something to be aware of, because if it is because previously there was a naming issue where Argo changed the way that pods were named, and means Kubeflow pipelines couldn't find the pods it was using. But there was a way to revert that change.
Yeah.
But if it's been solved, that's even better.
I updated the table now. I'm not sure whether we should keep Tecton, because it's now integrated into KFP in the repository. Let's see, maybe
Guys, can we take that discussion after meeting?
Yeah, so other than these two components though, is there going to be a Spark operator release, for example?
No, Spark Operator won't be part of 1.9 release.
Okay. Not Spark operator. And what about the model registry? No?
Model registry is already in RC0.
Oh, it is? Okay, cool, perfect. Are they going to have any changes, or are they going to...
No, it's just the first. It's the alpha release for model registry. So
Cool. So what I'm saying is,
0.2
if we
alpha.
complete these three things then, like manifests, changing versions, and notebooks and models, is there anything else that would prevent us from releasing one?
No, there's nothing that prevents us for RC1 other than these topics.
Okay, cool. So regarding this one here, so we can obviously talk about how to do the notebooks one offline, but the model one, what do we need to do for that?
I'm in touch with Kimonos to see what we can do to upgrade the models web app. He is the owner of this repo, by the way. If I can get any response from Kimonos, I'll try to reach out to the K-Serve co-lead to see if he can help us, as he's the other maintainer of this repo.
Yeah. For reference, the issues that I want to get fixed for this one, even though they say 181, are these ones. This includes both notebooks and the core components, which are like central dashboard and stuff. For model web app, do we have an issue tracking it, or?
We have one. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay, is there anything else anyone wants to say or like suggest we do for 1.9?
Just one last topic. I'll be out of vacations during this couple weeks. I'll be back on May 23rd. So for all of the release meeting tasks, for the release team tasks, I'm delegating to Stefano, who will take the lead on the RC1 when I'll be out. So if anything, you guys have issues or blockers or anything, you need to bring up to the release team, ping Stefano, and he'll help him.
I don't think he's here in this meeting, but yeah.
Yeah, he's not here. He said he will join later.
Cool. So anything else you want to say or about 1.9?
No, I'm good.
Josh, you're happy to move on?
Yes. Yes.
Cool, cool. Okay, so the one thing I did, because we've added lots of new repos, more than just two. There's some upstream config changes that need to take place in the prowl configs, and that's one to prevent people from accidentally. So if you're an approver in a repo and you make a PR, if the setting isn't set, the PR will be deemed approved by you, even though you haven't explicitly done it. And what that means is that anyone who can LGTM, which is literally everyone who's a member, can merge that PR without any review, really. So, because they just do an LGTM and it causes the PR to be merged. So, again, this doesn't prevent you from approving your own PRs. It just makes it so that you have to be explicit about it by saying /approve. And so there's two approaches. So this has already been approved by the Google people upstream who maintain this repo. But what I've done is I've just added every single repo that's active in Kubeflow. I think I can also add the org, but I don't know actually, because previously we were listing them all individually. This is in a Google Cloud Platform repo. So previously, you know, Notebooks is the new repo, Spark Operator the new one. I'm pretty sure that no one really wants to be able to accidentally merge their PRs because it's just one additional comment to do the self-approval if necessary. So for this PR, it just adds all of the active repos. I don't think I've missed any, but it doesn't affect the whole org. Like I think we could make this affect the whole org. So anyway, I'm just interested to know people's opinions. Just confirm that this is okay to merge, and if it is, then we'll and it's an upstream change, not actually in our org. But
I think
again, yeah,
I agree with this. I will give my LGTM and I will assign other repo maintainers on this PR.
yeah, because it only really affects the people who are approvers on everything, but it's important to prevent random merges.
Yes, it makes sense, and probably everybody will be in favor of it.
Yeah, I mean, most of the repos were already on here. It's just it's because it's so weird that it's in an upstream repo. So that's what I'm thinking. We could just add it on the whole org. Because like you see how Google Container Tools, that's an org. I don't know if that works though. Like I don't know if this is not actually a correct config.
I mean, isn't that something James Woonian has to approve so Andre can take it to him and they can decide how they?
Yeah, I mean so actually the for some reason this Google already approved it, but I agree. I want an LGTM from James and someone like that. But yeah, we could also just enable at the org level, because if we add new repos, it makes sense to have this enabled, I think. But I just don't understand fully how these configs work. So anyway, so I guess if it affects you, like mostly Andre and a few others, say this looks good to you. Don't unhold it though. Not that I think we actually can, because this isn't our org, but yeah, I mean, so I guess we can try and convince James to review it. That's all really. So moving on. This Slack migration thing. So Andre, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, let me quickly cover. So I think as we discussed a couple of months before, we want to migrate to CNCF Slack eventually. So Johan actually prepared this list for channels we want to migrate. So a couple of like things. I think initially we want to migrate a minimum amount of channels and then decide if we need to create more of them. So our initial idea was to create the product-specific channels like notebooks, training, pipelines, and not the working group one initially. And also we kind of like postpone the creation of some channels like conformance, outreach, security, unless we kind of like establish the working groups for these channels, or people from these groups say to us they need a specific channel. So please take a look and let us know if you have any suggestions. I already saw some suggestions about MPI operator to combine with this training, and a couple of more suggestions about announcement as well. So feel free to comment in this PR.
One idea in addition regarding the security, probably if we create a Kubeflow minus platform channel, and depending on what we do with the repositories, maybe we can merge security into that.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, I think like, so I guess like it's a point like what is the channel should be dedicated to the platform component specific, right? Profile controller, central dashboard, right? So if we agree as the community to have the platform channel, I think it should be fine to create it.
I think that would, so again, we have to think about the people trying to find these channels, right? Like who would it be for?
What do you mean?
like what would be the purpose of the channel from like a user perspective? Like, so obviously from a developer perspective, you know, that's if that's its
From
purpose,
the
that's fine.
so
But
from the user, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm just saying. So if is it a developer or a user thing?
It's both right now. So users will find these channels if they see the problems with a specific component. Like for example, like if they see the problems with pipelines, they will reach out to the Kubeflow pipelines channel, right? Similar to other product, right? I guess like it would be hard with the platform channel because I think like we probably people will, you know, start some random threads there. But I think as long as we kind of like explain them properly on the website, what is it? I hope like we can find agreement with them. But um,
So like this
but
is kind of where I come back to my so I mean I'm okay with having the channels. I mean obviously I'm never against having a presence on the CNCF Slack, but like I still think that there's some discussion to be had about whether we should have, you know, just the product focus channels only on the CNCF Slack and then have everything else on the original Slack.
yeah, so from our perspective, initially we shouldn't, you know, have other channels like, you know, some ecosystem specific channels or distribution specific channels. Because I guess like we just don't have people who can maintain them, right? From the community side of things. We can definitely like, I mean, in the future, maybe in 1 to 2 years, if we decided, hey, we really need a channel around this and people can drive it, like they can always create it. But
Well, what I'm saying is like, so we already have the Kubeflow Slack, and there's quite an active community on some of the third-party channels.
okay,
And that's what I'm saying. Like, so there's two things that I think we lose by going exclusively to the CNCF. I'm not saying we shouldn't go. I'm just saying exclusively, which is we have a lot of channels that just aren't part of the CNCF, so it doesn't really make sense for them to be in there. You know, discussions about external tools, like we're saying, discussions about distributions of Kubeflow, which it seems like the CNCF wouldn't want that. And then platform specific discussions that are about how Kubeflow relates to that platform. You know what I mean? Not necessarily a distribution. Like, and these are quite active channels. But I don't know. It's just something to think about. And so my reason, so there's that problem, and then there's the other problem, which is users have to actively join every channel. So they join the CNCF Slack. I'm already in the CNCF Slack, for example. I won't join it for Kubeflow, if you know what I mean. So then they have to go and find the channels that they want. And we need to think of a way, if we're going to use them, to be like this channel, like to really blast it in people's faces that they should join the specific channel to do specific things.
yeah, and we can make like an, you know, like the notification on the general channel, like to the list of all the channels they can join, right? And also promote it on the website.
I mean,
I
someone
think
would have to manually respond to people's comments to do that.
What is your proposal, Matthew?
Well, so that I'm just identifying that there are two problems, which is that people will have to people have to, if we have many channels, like if we have more than just like a Kubeflow channel, right, on the CNCF Slack, then like even getting people to join the Kubeflow channel will be somewhat difficult. It's not like Slack is not the best interface. It's kind of confusing, and just helping people find I think there's about a couple thousand channels in the CNCF Slack, so they have to know what exactly to search for, and then click. But yeah.
so they don't need
yeah.
to, yeah, they don't need to click. They just need to. I mean, we can have a hyperlink in our website, right? And then they don't need to search it. They just, if they're already on the CNCF, they're going to see the channel on the list if they click to the hyperlink, right?
Well, only if they're logged in on their browser and their desktop, which is where the problem starts. It's a very high friction, but that's fine. Like people can still do it. But I'm just saying, like, so that's if we have like just the Kubeflow Slack. And so obviously getting to the point where we have 10,000 members on that is going to be a lot of time. So like my thought process is, what's the process of migration, right? So that's coming back to this, right? So even if we do decide we're going to migrate, what is the process? Are we going to just run them both for a while? And then once there's more activity on the new Slack, we disable the old one, or what?
So from my perspective, like once we agree on the channels, we just need to create them. Then we need to update the website. Then we need to mark all of the existing channels to say this is deprecated channel. We're going to remove it soon and ask people to join a new one. and after maybe a couple of months, we just going to delete the previous channels. And I think previously we agreed to maybe maintain maybe an announcement channel or some of them. We can discuss it maybe next time. But just keep maybe just a single channel on the Kubeflow one if we need some, if we see the value of this basically. Because for Argo, for example, I can see that right now the Argo CD has in the CNCF has like around 14,000 members there, which is quite successful, giving their, looking on the migration. And from my perspective, it's better to have active people rather than just, some people on the Slack who joined maybe 4 to 5 years ago, right?
I mean, there is active people in our Slack.
I agree, but not like all of the 10,000 people are active, right?
I mean, we can take a quick look if you want to see what the current analytics are. So like this is the where is it? Okay, weekly active. So there's around 300 weekly active, with around 100 who post publicly.
Yeah, so it's not like 10,000, right? So
no, definitely not. But a lot of the messages are actually in private, right? And that's kind of like, so people are just using it to directly message each other. This is also the last 30 days. All time's not that useful, but you can kind of see that it gets a bit weird if you go over all time. So we have spikes around releases usually. Because I mean, most of the time Slack is just used for developing Kubeflow, right? And supporting a few people who have issues that can't be solved in Issue Tracker. All I'm trying to say is I don't know, like, I worry that we may not have, we may not get that much benefit by moving, and we might just lose access to be able to talk to the thousands of people who joined historically. That's the only thing I worry. Anyway, so all I'm saying is let's just be controlled about how we migrate if we do, and what we do. And I still want to find a solution for like how distributions can have an area to chat. And if we are just going to keep the original Kubeflow for distributions and announcements, then sure, because like the Kubernetes Slack exists, and they also have a. Sorry, go.
Sorry, Matthew. Go, please go ahead. Yeah.
No. I just want you to talk, please.
No, that was just a disturbance here. Sorry, please.
yeah, so CNCF doesn't have distribution related channels. It like Kubernetes, yes, it has like EKS and GKE channel. But it's maybe for historical reasons they have these channels. Like we definitely should have a discussion whether a community should, have a place in the Slack for distributions. I want to hear like, thoughts on this. Because the question is like who is going to support it, who is going to maintain it, right? Like basically we didn't have chance to discuss it yet. Right.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously option one would be that we just because distributions can just make their own Slacks and Discords and whatever, right? That's fine. It does. There is a lot of benefit to everyone being in a Slack. Everyone being in the same Slack is great either way. You get that same benefit from Kubeflow and the CNCF Slack, but there is some benefit to even having a more direct, like I'm in the Kubeflow Slack, so I'm here to talk about Kubeflow, right? That's kind of one thing, as much as we do lose history and other things. But like, there is some benefit to being like, the CNCF Slack includes 100,000 people, and most of them are not using Kubeflow, right? Whereas the Kubeflow Slack only includes people interested in Kubeflow. But that's just a side thing.
Yeah, but I mean, like, people in distributions can always create the channels on the Slack in the CNCF Slack, right? If they want to, use their Slack.
I mean, they probably won't do that though. Like, the only reason they have one on the Kubeflow Slack because people would join the Kubeflow Slack wanting support for the Kubeflow distributions, and then find that channel and be.
But I mean, if we say officially that Kubeflow Slack is not supported, so we're not going to plan to use them for communication purposes, what is the reason to stay on the Kubeflow Slack?
Oh no, there wouldn't be. So the distributions would move to their own Slacks probably.
Yeah, so that is the answer, right? Like, what is the reason then to have like Kubeflow Slack if we say that CNCF is our official place for communication, for the communication purposes, right?
Well, it's just how do we communicate that to the existing users?
What do you mean?
Like, so people who are actively using the current Slack, we can pretty easily communicate with them. But like the people who historically haven't, and then come years from now, you know, people still join the old. I mean, we. What I'm trying to say is like the Kubeflow Slack will like unless it's about communicating, right? You know what I mean? It's like that's all I'm saying. It's about communicating, and so
No, but I mean, that's right. But I mean, we say that Kubeflow is part of Ciencia. We're part of the incubating project. We want to go to graduated stage in the near future, right? Like we under this foundation, we say that we want to have a closer collaboration with other CNCF projects. We want to have a place when people can communicate about Kubeflow and also other CNCF components, right? I don't see any. I mean, looking for success of Argo workflows and how like this is like one of the most popular projects right now under CNCF umbrella. And looking for their migration, I don't see any problems of migrating us to follow the similar, you know,
I mean,
to get a
there
similar app.
is something to be said about the fact that Argo as a project is probably 1,000 times as popular as Kubeflow, and yet
Yep.
has the same amount of members as our Discord, as our Slack on the CNCF channels that they maintain. Like, pretty much everyone I know uses Argo.
No,
Whereas,
but
yeah,
go ahead.
what I'm saying is
Um,
Kubeflow. Like, what I'm saying is clearly there's more penetration into the Kubeflow market in our Slack than there is into the Argo market on the CNCF Slack.
No, but point me if I'm wrong, but at least 14,000 people they joined this channel after the migration.
Oh, I'm
I don't
sure,
have
but let's conservatively assume that there's like 500,000 active users of Argo, right?
Okay.
Or maybe more, maybe more. That's a very low penetration rate. Whereas I'd say most of the people actively using Kubeflow are on our Slack.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So like we
Okay,
need to
okay, yeah, I
try and
think-
get the same level of conversion. That's what. So I'm not saying we can't. I'm just saying like it is a bit of a like misnomer to be like I'm not sure that can be. We don't know whether that's a success, right? Like that the Argo migration. That's what I'm saying. But also Argo is not really a similar project. It's much more constrained.
Matthew, maybe we should move on.
Yeah,
I
let's
can.
move on. I agree. But anyway.
Yeah. Mhm.
Kubeflow repo. So yes, we talked about this. We've got
Yeah,
one
maybe-
new repo.
Go ahead.
I'll just say we've got one new repo, which you can star if you want, which is the notebooks, Kubeflow notebooks. I'll paste it in the chat if people want to star it. Let's see if it's on Git Google yet. It is not. Okay. How do I link to it? I guess we'll just go. Yeah. Oh my god, notebooks. So it's got nothing in it yet, but I'll paste it in the chat. Repos. So we'll eventually, probably after the 1.9 release, be migrating stuff in, just because we don't want to do it before then. And this will be the home for the notebooks apps, which will be not the core apps, so not the dashboard, not the profile controller, not the KFAM, but Jupyter Web App, Volumes Web App, TensorBoards Web App, Notebooks controller. What other one?
So sorry, like
Yeah.
so this Commons Web App, who is going to maintain them? This component,
Which one? Sorry.
like the Commons web apps, right? Like the Angular common code which use across multiple web.
So that will definitely be in this repo, if you know what I mean. But it will be maintained by this, whoever is maintaining this repo, you know, which would be notebooks in this case.
Okay.
Just because, and so what I'm saying is, from your perspective, you use it in one place, right? You just can update the Git reference to this repo.
Yeah, but I mean, like I'm more talking about like long-term, like support from notebooks working, pipeline to support it for X period of time, or we need to like find new members in the community, like similar to other like platform-specific components for this repo, for this component. Sorry.
Well, obviously there will be new, but part of the reason to split it is to allow more people to join and contribute to this piece. But
Okay.
so the structure that we're planning, just for reference, we have still subject to change, is there'll be a folder called Notebooks and a folder called Workspaces. Notebooks will be all of the old legacy stuff, and that still will be supported, obviously, for a long time. But it's just, that's the old Jupyter Web App, all the stuff we just talked about, including the common code. And then the workspaces will be where we'll start developing Notebooks 2.0. So they'll both exist in the same branch at the same time. And that one will have no code in common with the original notebooks, but it will be able to be deployed concurrently. So you'll end up with 1.x releases and 2.x releases on this repo at the same time, if you know what I mean. Is there any questions about that? Or
My question is only like, are you going to support this common web app for the long term? Like whether it is like under notebooks folder or other folder as part of this repo?
well, there's no current plans to get rid of it because we would still be needing it for the volumes and maybe tensor boards if we keep the tensor boards, right?
All of the UIs are using this common code right now.
When you say
Like-
common, you're referring to this code, not
Yeah.
that code, not this. That's something
No.
else. You mean
Yeah.
this
Yep.
common. So this is only used by the CRUD related apps, meaning like the Jupyter, tensor
No,
boards,
that's
volume.
not true. Also, the Caddy web app, the
Yep.
Kserve
Well, that's
web
technically CRUD as
app.
well. That's technically CRUD as well. But yeah.
Yes, but indeed,
So
we cannot
go
just say it will be deprecated alongside Notebooks 1.0 because this has a much broader impact. So it has to be treated differently. And there, we need to have a broader discussion about the future of this common code and in general, how we're going to maintain these components and evolve them in time. It is decoupled from Notebooks 1.0. Just because it's a dependency to Notebooks 1.0, it doesn't mean it needs to go into that deprecation path as well. But let's not discuss about it right now. It's a long conversation. I believe we need to have a separate
Well, it's definitely going to
just
move.
about this.
What I'm saying is it's definitely not
It's
going to move to
gonna
its own repo. So it's going to move to the
Totally.
notebooks repo. And so that's
Yes.
fine for now because it's going to stay maintained under that repo, probably more maintained than
Yes.
it is now.
Yes. All I'm saying is we need to have a discussion about it and how we're gonna support it in the long term.
But yeah, once we've started this, once we in the notebooks repo, once we decide we're going to, remove the 1.0 stuff, that's when we can decide, do we have anyone still using it? Yeah. Because it could be a year away, 2 years away,
Yes.
I think we can. Yeah. So go ahead, Stefan.
No, just that. It'll be a long way until we're actually gonna deprecate Notebooks 1.0. So in the meantime, let's actively discuss also what's the future about the common code and the other web apps as well, because it has repercussions. So I mean, this is not a blocker to start work on the workspaces or the migration. Let's just be mindful about it.
Yes, and also I saw the message from Julius that you are willing to maintain these platform-specific components. So we need to find more people from the community who actually can take ownership of those components to help Julius with the migration.
I mean, still for now, the notebooks working group is still willing to maintain them, if you know what I mean. It's like Julius can join under that if he wants. Like what I'm saying is that's separate to this, right? These are the notebooks, Kubeflow notebooks. We'll obviously be having this hasn't been created yet, but still be to discuss. Kubeflow / dashboard is what I think James wanted to call it.
I think we haven't agreed yet, right?
That's what I'm
On
saying. It
the-
hasn't been agreed, but like I think James wanted this. I agree with this because I think that's the core app that should be viewed as being the version there, if you know what I mean. But
However you call it in the end or how you split it, probably Kimona's Matthew and I will be interested in the platform stuff. But I don't care about workspaces or notebooks that much, but the platform stuff is so closely related to the manifest that it probably makes sense.
yeah, and I'm sure vendors and other distribution owners will also be interested in maintaining them. So obviously the question is how to facilitate that. But I mean, the first step is just to have the new repo set up with the existing maintainers and then figure out how to split off the working group if that's necessary. But it's a bit crazy to try and change owners and repos at the same time. Otherwise, it's a real confusion, I think. But we can I would love to see more maintainers, but I worry that if we remove it from the notebooks working group, that it won't have any maintainers.
Yeah, maybe we can move on. So
Yeah.
I just want to hear feedback on the issue. And let's move on.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's the plan right now, is to move notebooks to this repo and everything else to this repo. If you have a disagreement with that, please. But we're going to do this second part in a much later time because this will take time, the notebooks one. Okay, so GSOC, we really need to talk about that. So who wrote this one in the thing?
Yeah, I think I did it also. So I just want to quickly say, first of all, we announced the results, and I want to say a huge thank you to Ramesh for volunteering this and pushing us forward. It was amazing to join the 20 years anniversary of GSOC this year, and we got like I think 10 to 9 people attending this year. It was amazing, and we got like so many proposals from all of the students, and so we really want to work with you, even because we have a limited amount of people we can accept from the Google Summer of Code side. We really want to work with all of you together to help you to get on board, to contribute more to the community. So I think we're planning to maybe host some contributing hour or office hours very soon once we have a bandwidth to actually show you how you can contribute, where you can contribute, and how you can help the community, even like outside the GSOC project. Because GSOC is just one way of how you can be part of the community, but there is much more that you can help us and be part of this unique opportunity to grow within AML. Go ahead, Ricardo.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you, Andrew. Sorry. I just wanted to say that for all of the ones who stepped in as the mentors for this GSOC edition must reach out to their mentees as soon as possible because the official start of the GSOC coding phase is on May 27th. So if you didn't talk to your mentee yet, please do so till the end of this week so you can sync up your project with your mentee.
So have we got, I think obviously we're still assigning the primary mentors for some of them. Have we finalized all that?
Despite assigning primary and backup mentors, it's good to at least have first touch with the mentees.
That's what I mean.
Because
Like,
we had,
can't really do that until one person has been said that's the person who should be contacting them. So there's like 6 mentors otherwise. How do we contact them?
I
well,
think they are listed by order, or am I missing something?
So there's a private document, right? The one that don't show it publicly, but like the one that's the one that assigns the mentors to the mentees, right? Some of them have a clear lead mentor. Other ones have the same mentor listed first 6 times. So like,
Yeah, but I think you have to check the official GSOC page. There are still many mentors, but I think the official page is what counts in the end. Let me post it in the chat.
yeah, they're definitely listed, but it's what I'm trying to say is like we don't want like we would love to. Yeah, I'll show you. We can open it, but like, yeah. So like these are the mentors that are assigned, yes, but you see like we don't really want this many people reaching out to this one person, right? We need one primary contact, also one person who's responsible to upload the results, and that's kind of what we're saying with primary. Anyway, that's more of a logistical thing. All I'm saying is we definitely need to make sure that like we need to reach out to whoever is the primary mentor. We need to just get confirmation that they've started reaching out because they need to have done that already. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
I think it's the
that's fine.
ordering, as far as I know. For example,
So have you
probably
reached out to your
primary-
mentors? So you've got 2 mentors. Have you reached out to them?
Yeah, I reached out to both of them because I'm primary for this for Bisweit Patanik and secondary for Hansini Karuna.
So
As
have
you
you
can
had
see
any
also on the
problems, or
ordering.
like you've managed to reach out to them all right and everything's fine?
Yes, we have scheduled meetings and so on.
That's cool. Yeah, just make sure. Because also there's another deadline which I don't know if it's on here, but there is a secret deadline which is to kick people out of the program. So if something is gone horribly wrong, you can kick people out before a certain time. This as a side note to the mentors. But yes.
But probably Ramesh has to give us a proper list that is really correct and make sure that it also matches what we have on the website there.
Yeah, we should probably update our own website as well. But yes. Cool. So anyway, I just think what we should do is like next steps there. I really think we should make sure that everyone has a primary mentor. Make sure each project has a primary mentor. Make sure each we have set up regular meetings with each mentee and primary and mentors. And then like, because we need to start defining the project and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. Like just ...
Should we move on?
Yeah,
Like,
we should. I just think this is critical for that. Otherwise, it makes us look kind of crazy. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, just add that this deadline should be before May 27th because it's when the GSOC officially begins.
Oh yes, everything here. In fact, yeah. Community onboarding period is right now. It's meant to be.
That's right. And May 27th, coding officially begins. So
Like current
everything must be happen until May 26th.
onboarding. May 1 to May 26. It's like timeline. Onboarding, and then like the actual coding needs to start what date? It needs to start 27th. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Obviously, it's subject to dependent on the mentee if they have other commitments and things. Things can change, but it's just we need to make sure that we get, because I think we have to, as mentors, have to submit the timelines and stuff, so that Google knows what's happening. Anyway, cool. Anyone else want to add anything there?
No, just that.
Oh, James, I see you've joined the chat. If you're happy with this PR here, for the test infrastructure, one of your team has already approved it, but you're the only one who I think can actually unhold it because you're a Google person. This is on the top of the list. It just makes it so that people have to self-approve rather than implicitly approving when making PRs into. So Pipelines already has that, and Kubeflow already has that, but a lot of the newer repos don't already have that. So I just wanted to say that for you because you're the only one who can actually approve it.
So can you give me the link?
Yeah, I'll paste it in the chat. Yeah. I didn't mean to do the files link, but whatever, that's fine. Okay, cool. What's the most important next topic?
I guess so. I can speak about Spark Operator, and Stefano, do you want to like speak about server updates next week?
Yeah, we can do that. I hope to work a little bit on the interview template and next steps by then.
Yeah, thank you. That makes sense. Thank you for doing this. Yeah, for Spark, I think we have some good news. So we merged the blog post. So I think I will ask Outreach Working Group. So if you have some bandwidth, Stefano, maybe you can reach out to Amber to ask to promote this blog post. So we're actually planning to host the first community call on May 17th. Sorry, I think we read it here on the blog post. Yeah, May 17th. May 17th.
This is public, right?
Yeah, it's already public. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, so we planning to host. We will host the first community call on May 17th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We're planning to host meetings every month right now, and we want to promote this blog post to the community so they get a visibility, how they get involved, and what are the next step, for the Spark Operator project.
So I guess we need to get that PR merged before then. And so who from the working group is going to host that meeting? So we need to get them access to the Zoom.
Yeah, it's a working group data, so I need to sync with you, Matthew, offline for Zoom access.
So who specifically is the people?
It's Vara plus Charan, Vara from Amazon and Charan from Apple.
Are they the ones they want to host? Do they need to?
I will help them host, and if we can delegate some of the responsibilities to them, that would be nice. But we can sync offline for this.
Yeah, because all I'm saying is only one person can join the meeting as a host. That's what I'm saying. Like, so we need to organize who that is.
I just don't have credentials for CNCF Zoom, but we can.
Are you in the 1Password? If you're not in the
Yes.
okay, I can add you to the 1Password section that gives you access to it then.
Yeah, let's do it offline. I already opened the PR for reading the Slack. Sorry,
Cool.
the calendar.
Yep. Anything else you want to say about Spark Operator?
No, I think any questions from the community about Spark Operator?
I mean, when's the first formal website update going to be? I guess that's my question. For Kubeflow, the Kubeflow website, when are we going to put it on the sidebar?
Yeah, I think probably we'll do it after the first release, but we need to sync with Vara and Charan about it.
Cool.
We already pushed the first image, but we need to make the proper release there.
Do they have their own documentation website or not?
Not yet. They put all the docs on the GitHub.
Okay, well, as long as they're marked down, it should be relatively straightforward to move then. But maybe not. Okay, cool. Website PRs, we're still doing lots of things. I see you've done a lot of work, Andre. We won't talk too much about a lot of them, but some of them are less controversial than others. So I know this one's not that controversial. So
Yeah, maybe it's just maybe just to give you context. Now we have 2 more minutes for this meeting, just to give a context for everyone in the community. So we tried to, Mate, if you can open the preview, and if you show the diagram, so we tried to explain the AI value of Kubeflow project. Like basically, we tried to explain what kind of like stories it addresses in every stage of ML lifecycle, and try to explain to people the value of the components, like where you can use training, where you can use pipelines, where you can use KDIP or notebooks, right, in each stage in your AI lifecycle. So we try to work on the diagram better and try to reuse it in several components. Like, for example, if you scroll a bit down, Matthew, here we try to say that, hey, this is the full Kubeflow story. And if you need this, specific, if you need the whole, you can install the whole Kubeflow platform. But if you just need to, like use a specific component, you can use the part of this, reference architecture as part of your AI platform. So we try to see like what is the best like a lifecycle diagram here, and work together to at least like explain the real value of Kubeflow project for the end user. Yeah.
So this PR updates this page only, or is it also update? It just so I can see you've updated the introduction and the architecture page, or am I?
I think I didn't update the introduction here.
Yeah, it's weird because the PR is like thinks that one's been updated, but I don't think it has. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, you've updated one line. That's all. Don't worry. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me bring it back. So yeah, that's the first PR. So I guess you want people to review it.
Yeah, that's right. And there are some suggestions from Stefano, so maybe we can sync offline of better, like, life cycle view from the product perspective on the PR. Stefano, any comments that you want to bring up for this?
The first one.
No, I think we're having a good discussion in the PR. We should keep it there.
Yeah, I think this is a really good update. I'm happy, but obviously architecture page, so probably people should review because it's how we present ourselves.
So the main intention, so Matty, if you open the website again, the preview, like if you go to training operator right now, in the components
architecture,
in the components section.
Do you want to go to the live one because you might not have the latest
to the overview.
This may not be the most up to date because it.
Yeah, I understand. But if you scroll a bit down, like just to give like the folks the understanding, basically we want to like you reuse this life cycle diagram everywhere and say, hey, like this component for this stage of ML life cycle, other component for this stage of ML life cycle, and then we can iterate. If all the working groups agree, I think it might be the good idea to explain the user story behind Kubeflow. But anyway, let's move on. I think we can sync offline.
Yeah, and this other one, I still think we should be splitting it into 2 pages, but because it would be less controversial and easier to get merged.
Yeah, do we have, so I know over time, sorry, like, do we have anyone from the community here, like from the maybe distribution side of things? No? James still here. Maybe James, you can give your perspective.
Are you aware of this PR, James, or not? It's a website update PR that Andre proposing to add information about installing standalone components, but I think there's also too many other updates in the PR. But the actual proposal that I have as a counter proposal is to just say, let's leave the installing Kubeflow page on its own, and maybe update it a little bit, but then have a new page called installing Kubeflow components standalone, or something to that effect.
Okay, I need to go, but please give me the link to this PR. I'll take a look offline.
So it's quite a okay. Let me just double. I also made a separate proposal for the merged page, but I actually think that a separate page is my current proposal. But yeah.
All right.
I think maybe the next. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, James.
No, sorry, I need to drop off the call.
Okay,
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we need to, find agreement for the Kubeflow platform statement. Like, just want to see more comments and feedback for this suggestion.
Also, we've got a random person making interesting comments now.
No, it's Chase actually. So he's not a random person. We spoke on the summit, so on the Kubeflow summit last year. Sorry, in the Paris, and he helped us for a Linux guide for the Kubeflow. CNCF, what is it, Julius? If you remember correctly, you can help
I
me.
think I think they did a course or tutorial for the Linux Foundation. Do you mean that?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's tutorial.
In any case, yeah. So I guess the first question is, do we want to add standalone component installation guides? And I don't know that that's the case, but I think we probably do, right? And so then the question becomes, how do we put them on the website, right? Is that fair?
I think that's right, and also explain what is the way of installing Kubeflow, right? What is the reason between the Kubeflow platform and the Kubeflow standalone components, right?
Sure. And obviously that's mostly relevant to the new components, but yes.
Yeah, I agree with 2 pages maybe makes sense. I think like the question, do we want to make it initially, right?
Yes, I think the answer is yes. Because you're
Yeah,
never
but I
gonna
wanna
get
hear-
you're never gonna get community consensus with updating the installing Kubeflow page. That's what I mean.
No, I mean, okay, Matthew, that makes sense, but I mean, I want to hear the same vision from other folks in the community, right? Who has the same perspective that we shouldn't just update installing Kubeflow at all. I
Well,
mean,
no, I'm
not
not
that-
saying we shouldn't update it. I'm saying we should rename it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, maybe we can give more time. So we're planning to, maybe find an agreement by maybe before the making the release. So maybe this website update could be included in this release once we find the agreement.
Yep. And obviously that can be for next meeting. Is
Yeah,
there anything?
I looked at that PR, Andre, and I was supportive of it. I mean, obviously, this is an evolution of what we do, but I thought as a first phase, I thought your PR was workable. But I'll take another look on it and put comment on it.
The reason I proposed 2 pages, just for summarizing that, is just because I think there are 2 completely irreconcilable ways of deploying Kubeflow. There is as a platform and as individual components. And as a result, the users that need one of each are just completely different. So we should meet them with a page that's dedicated for them, and we can help direct them to the correct page with a note at the top, that makes sense. But if users want a full platform, they're not interested in individual components. And if users want individual components, they're not interested in a full platform. You know what I mean? So it feels like it makes a lot of sense for them to be separate pages.
But it's not usually like this, right? Like we have a different kind of user story. Some people can start with something small, like taking the components and understand they need like end-to-end platform. But some people can maybe just try out the platform first and then, hey, I don't need the whole kind of bundle of Kubeflow. I just need a specific, maybe just a cursor, right? And then I'm just focusing on this specific component. So I don't think it's very easy for us to, explain the user story behind this, right?
Well, no, we don't need to explain why they would need it. We just need to explain what we're explaining.
So what is like Stefano proposing for you of the, explaining what is Kubeflow platform, what is Kubeflow standalone components. And by having these statements, maybe it make it clear for users what they can choose, right, initially.
Just to clarify something, I think every subset of the whole platform is valid. So if I take KTIP and pipelines, for example, only, or something else. So every subset of the platform.
That's right. So yes, it's also like it's also valid that you can take like two of the standalone components, right? Like what we saw from the end users, actually, some of this people from CERN or from from Bloomberg, they do exactly this, right? They just take some of the components and use it in production.
But the difference is not that, right? The ability to choose components is available on both of these options, distribution or platform and non-platform. The difference is the presence of a platform. What I mean by that is authentication, user management, and other things, right? Whereas if you're installing individual components, you're doing all that for yourself. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's the distinction. It's not whether you can choose components, because you can do most distributions let you choose. I don't want pipelines. I do want pipelines. Even the manifests let you do that. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is that's the difference of these platform components, right? And I think that's why I'm saying if you want those pieces, that's the difference for the user. I mean, we don't know why they would want them, right? That's their own choice, but we can just say we provide both, right? That's why I think 2 pages is critical, because it ensures that the people who, because the sort of, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying the sort of people who want a platform, I don't think it's helpful for them to see the individual components. That's what I'm saying.
It's not always like this. Like, for example, we can make components pluggable. We can make pipelines pluggable, which can plug in your own authentication clients. We can make KDIP UI pluggable, right? That's what we're planning to do. So, some vendors can plug in their own custom authentication layer on top instead of like reusing the profile controller plus DEX, which is like an upstream of repo, right? So the thing is like make the components pluggable and more like, production ready. I think this should be our goal. And the platform is like one way of how we view this, right? Just an example. This, I think, what was proposed like a couple of years ago. Just give a user specific example how they can maintain multi-tenancy. But we cannot dictate them that, hey, this is the only way you can use Kubeflow in the production environment, right? Because there are different use cases and different types of infrastructure that we might want to support. Does it make sense?
I don't think there's anything about the proposal of having 2 pages which prevents that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay. I think two or 1 page we can definitely debate. For me, like just personal opinion, like I think it's kind of like, is the second step to make it 2 separate pages. But I mean,
the reason why I don't think that's possible is because the proposed PR is so confusing. That's my reason. Like, it's like the net result of the installing Kubeflow page will be that people can't figure out how to install Kubeflow. This is crazy.
No, because I need to add like the points what Stefano added. Like I need
but
to
even
add
like this, it's like, what are we? We've got install raw manifest. We've got install platform distributions. We got things like what is happening here? Like this is not interpretable to a new user.
We can iterate on that. So I
but
think
we can't iterate. Like what I'm saying is we should not merge this. That's what I'm saying. Like
no. I think we can iterate by merging.
No, we
want
can't.
to get this
like
in,
my vote is that is devastating to the community if we do that, because it will end people's ability to install Kubeflow.
I don't know, Matthew. I mean, I read it and I went through it. I thought it made sense to me. I thought it was logically laid out, but I appreciate your observation and I'm willing to take another look at it, but I wouldn't be as, I'd probably have a little different stance than you on this.
Because like as a customer, you've got 2 possibilities that you want. And our customers are both vendors and users, but an end user customer either wants an individual component, like what Andre is wanting to support, absolutely, and that's fine. They want to build their own platform. That's great. Or they want an ML platform. And then from there, they're probably going to look, what's a supported vendor platform for my Kubernetes distribution? Putting raw manifests first is also incredibly dangerous, because this is not a supported distribution. Also, it's just like dangerous for other reasons, like I was saying last time, where the whole point of people investing in Kubeflow is to be able to sell products, right? And why would they do that if we're promoting raw manifests above their products?
But it's not true, right? Like we have people who invested in Kubeflow who are not selling products, right? On top.
Sure,
and
but
there are
the
like
ones who actually the ones investing the most are.
no,
That's what I'm saying. Like Red
why?
Hat, Red Hat, Canonical.
No, but I mean, like, you
Google.
know, okay,
Like
John is from Nutanix, like I'm from Apple.
that's a
you know.
person selling a product that you just argued against yourself.
No, but I mean, you mean like what exactly are you talking about? Like, are you talking about like the people who are investing in Kubeflow building these distributions on top, or what exactly do you mean?
Like Nutanix is involved because they sell they sell things that use Kubeflow, right? Like, and same reason as Canonical's involved, same reason Red Hat's involved, same reason I'm involved. Like, it's what I'm trying to say is that, and that's not just and it's not just because of that we shouldn't do this first. It's also because this isn't a good user experience. Like most users will not be able to get a production ready platform again because we're talking about the platform goal from the manifest. Some will, and that's great. That's why we provide them. But most will need a distribution.
For example, at the meeting, I think in Paris, 200 people in the audience, I think 80 or 90% used the manifest. This might be different in the different audience.
I would expect so.
Distributions need to make money, but it's not the only source of contributions for the project. It's one source. Maybe it makes up 50% or so. Or maybe we can look at numbers and see how many people sell and how much contributions do they do. That's probably data we can make a decision on. But in general, I would assume it's around 50-50.
But even if that wasn't the argument, which it's not really my argument, my main argument is I want users to be able to install Kubeflow. And I don't think they'll be able to do that with the manifests, most users. And I think that's represented by the blog posts and other things about Kubeflow being impossible to install when it was just the manifest. But anyway,
I mean,
what I'm trying to say is it's not a bad thing to just have the goal of the PR is not to like what I'm saying is the thing you're proposing here is to change things that are more intense than the thing you're actually proposing. Like, what are you actually proposing? Are you proposing to de-emphasize distributions, or are you proposing to help people install components standalone? Because you're doing both at the moment.
So I can identify changes that I've made for raw manifest plus distribution owners there. And I can also like, you know, reuse the Stefano proposal of adding like what is Kubeflow, what is Kubeflow platform, what is Kubeflow standalone components. If we agree that Kubeflow platform is the right name for raw manifest plus distribution installation. If we have any other like concerns for my changes for raw manifests, I'm happy to, you know, address them in this. But this is why I hold it, right? I didn't merge it because I want to hear feedback, right?
Like, I want to see the what is Kubeflow still here to help you direct people. Like, because like the structure of the current page helps people find the introduction and architecture, because this page is super high in SEO, right? So like this is probably the entry page for a lot of people.
If you take a look at the Stefano comment, he exactly proposed the same, right?
Yeah, and that's what I proposed in my alternate as well. Like my alternate proposal for when you just add a section called components would have ended up looking like this. Like, so I didn't change anything. I didn't change anything other than just adding a new section, which was how to install Kubeflow, new section, package distributions was already there. I changed the color of the heading because I thought it looked a bit cleaner rather than having two bright blue things. But then I said standalone components, and we can obviously debate the wording, but like this was just, and then external add-ons here. So like, but I think that even this is more confusing than just having installing Kubeflow platform, installing Kubeflow components, you know?
But if this is such a controversial change, and to be honest, I'm not involved in that change, shouldn't that be something handled by and decided by the KSC?
No, I think it should be decided by the community, and KSC can make a final agreement. And I mean, I like this table. My personal opinion, I don't think we should have these components which will never support standalone, but it's separate.
Well, we plan to support standalone on both of these two.
Yeah, but so once we have a support standalone, we can just add them here, right? What is the reason to?
Well, because this is also like the reason it's here is it's the reason I listed it is because I wanted to. It also acts as a piece of documentation about the components of Kubeflow.
No, but we have this in the introduction page.
I mean, but like people won't find it, right? And this helps you link to that section. Like,
I mean, why do we need to duplicate information on the website? Why we cannot
have duplicating? Well, because like it's as long as the information isn't problematic to duplicate, like you don't want to overwhelm the user, no. But there is a document. I mean, I'm not saying that this is the right approach. I think the right approach is to have a separate page, which can be structured however you want. But what I'm saying is, like, this helps a user go, okay, so we can install a package distribution. Okay, or I could say, actually, all I want is pipelines. Or all I want is notebooks. Oh, wait, I can't do that. You know what I mean?
But I mean, it should be obvious if we don't have this in the table.
No, but it isn't. Like, you need to be explicit with users. Like, it's if a user's like, I just want pipelines, you can be like, oh, I do allow that. But what is the limitation? And that's where something that isn't quite. I think the table should probably also highlight what the limitation is. But
So
But
okay,
for a lot of people, they'll be like, I want notebooks. Oh, I just want notebooks. Oh, I don't have that option. Okay, I need to use a distribution. And that doesn't mean I can't just install notebooks from a distribution, which is why I think that the separate page makes more sense, right? Because because we can have that information on the second page and be like, yeah, notebooks currently does require a package distribution of some kind. Anyway, but like that's the reason I think that we should list the ones which don't support it, because there isn't that many. Again, maybe it could be
I just
structured
so
or
from my
ordered
personal
differently,
perspective, it is overwhelm users, and if we see the user questions on the Slack, we can definitely like improve it, right? I don't think initially we should do it, right? From my point of view, because like
well, I mean,
we
maybe.
because we confuse users, like, basically, because we say that, hey, you can install this like, what is the reason of
What
telling
is the
them?
reason? So that's a really important question, right? So if it's a thing that users want, this helps them understand that they want it as well. Like, it's not, like, and I agree that maybe there's some like red is negative and things like that. Maybe it's a branding question, but like it's on the installing like on the installing Kubeflow standalone components, we should list out the components that are not supported standalone, just because and then also list out the implications of installing pipelines standalone. It's really important for users to understand that. Otherwise, I'm going to get users being like, I just want notebooks, and it's going to be like, yeah, that's fine, but you do have to use a distribution, right? Like,
Yeah, but I mean, this is the pipelines documentation issue. If the pipelines won't explain the differences, right?
well,
It's
they
not like the
don't.
problem installation page. I mean, you should then, if you see this concern, you should improve the pipelines
No, but I
documentation.
said notebooks, right? Like, what I'm
Like,
saying.
because installation should be very simple. Follow this guide if you want to install notebooks. Follow this guide if you want to install pipelines. And then pipelines should be responsible to explaining the differences. We don't want to make installation page very complex. That is why people complaining about Kubeflow, because they see this installation page, it is very complex right now. And they think that Kubeflow is just impossible to use because it's very hard to configure. But their answer is no, because Kubeflow is the ecosystem of different components, right? And sometimes it's maybe extremely simple to use. Sometimes it's maybe hard, right? Installation page should not be, containing some information about like these nodes and other things from my perspective.
But yeah, that's fine. But like, that's why I'm saying meet users where they are. And also this helps document Kubeflow, right? You say that the problem is that people don't know that it's a ecosystem. Well, what better way to help them understand that than to distinguish Kubeflow platform from Kubeflow components?
Yeah, I mean that is what, like, Stefano, like, we have this statement at the beginning of
No,
if we don't.
but this is too like the proposed structure of this page is too confusing. Like,
No,
that's
I mean,
that's
Stefano, so if you take a look at the comment, he proposed to add this statement at the beginning of this page to say what is Kubeflow, what is Kubeflow platform, what is Kubeflow standalone components. My idea was to add this to the introduction, but if you want to add to the installation, okay, I mean, we can start with that.
I agree that maybe it should be everywhere, but like, if you add it to the introduction, I'm trying to find it. Yeah. So like this is too many words, right? Like,
I tried to make it simpler at the bottom, just refactor his message here, but basically explaining each entity of Kubeflow, standalone components of Kubeflow platform, and again, I heard the Josh, comments about Kubeflow, not always about the code, but also about the community, because I think it's a good sentence to say, so people understand the value of the community. But anyway, I think we haven't found agreement on the wording here. I'm happy to,
I mean, the wording is separate. Like, I just think that it's critical that we have two separate pages for two different purposes. Because
Why?
the category of users should, if there's ever like when you're building a complicated website, documentation especially, if there's two categories of users that never overlap, which is this, they
No,
shouldn't
but
need to be on the same page.
go ahead. But this is not true.
I
That's
don't.
go ahead, Josh.
I don't know if it's true that the two categories of users never overlap. I don't know if that's a true statement. But I get your point, Matthew. But still, there's a lot of companies that use Kubeflow in different ways, and they modify it on their own. I think being able to show that you can use the components or you can use it as a platform actually is a good thing, and it helps people walk through understanding all the components and how they fit into the platform. If you separate it, I'm not sure that they see the how all the components kind of combine together or potentially could combine together. It's never going to be simple or easy. I just don't think we're in the simple or easy business.
Absolutely. And we're not debating that we should list the ability to install components. That's the whole point here. I agree with that. I just think the debate is around not like even this one where you intersperse it, you go package distributions, standalone components, and external and raw manifests. I think this, because really these two are grouped, raw manifests and package distributions, but this is not, right? That's why I'm saying like it's just easier than rather than having a long scroll, just having 2 pages. And then it's be like, what is Kubeflow platform should be at the top of the Kubeflow platform page, and what is the Kubeflow ecosystem should be at the top of what is the Kubeflow components page, Like it's.
But I think the question is like what is the reason to having, what is the difference between 2 sections or 2 pages? Just
So
long.
like think about it from a new user perspective. Okay, so I've heard about Kubeflow. I come to the main page. I click getting started.
Okay.
This is already kind of a problem, but let's say hopefully they probably click this first, introduction, right? We've improved this a little bit, obviously still got more to go. They hopefully learn, okay, there's a lot of components going on here. They probably watch this video, which is not that helpful. Maybe then they go to architecture, but probably they don't. Like this is like, oh, there's a lot of words on the screen. Okay, so then they're like, okay, I just want to try it if they get to that point. So then they go here and installing Kubeflow. So at this point, we don't want to lose them, right? We want to be like, okay, and that's why we've got this much more simplified version of what is Kubeflow here as well, which is and so then we give them options. So in this case, I've put the standalone, this is actually the standalone one, but if we look at the public one, we've currently got package distributions, raw manifest. If we have a third option, which is just a link to another page rather than, well, again, this would say Kubeflow platform. And then this would be, what is Kubeflow platform? And so then we just have
then you should also rename install Kubeflow platform, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. That's my proposal. And then we just have, so that was my proposal here, which was that we say, because then a user can be like, okay, it's because we need to help people understand if they're in the category of user who wants to use a standalone component. Because if they don't have the technical capability to build their own platform, they don't want a standalone component.
No, but this is not true. So good.
Well, they might want some components, but that's why we list out the implications. So Kubeflow pipelines, when deployed in standalone, has some pretty severe limitations from end user perspective, right?
Yes, but we even have a value of individual components for people who want to use this component in the local machine, even without the large enterprise and the platform behind it. So we know that users can use it as part of their, I don't know, maybe local training within kinds, or maybe they have some EKS resources so they can quickly train their LLMs, right? Or fine-tune them. For that, they don't need this, complexity of Kubeflow. They just need distributed capabilities, right? And we give you a simple way of doing this on Kubernetes by using training operator, right? For example, we know use cases when people just want to use, I don't know, maybe just they want to experiment with their, I don't know, algorithms, and they can use our Katie project for this, right?
I'm not. That's all true. There's nothing about that changes this experience, right?
I mean, it's from my understanding, it's not really true that the people first of all will look on the distribution, because from my understanding, if distribution also want to get the value, we need to show the value of individual components. Like what is the AI value of pipelines? what is the AI value of notebooks and other part of Kubeflow ecosystem. And if people see the value of individual components, then we will guide them to the distribution and raw manifest so they can, use it as the platform. But unless we show the real and the people see the real value of individual pieces in the ML story, they will never, use Kubeflow, because what is the reason, right? Yes,
We've already
pipelines.
sold Kubeflow. Like Kubeflow already exists. This is not a new project.
That's correct, but there are still kind of like a misunderstanding what is the true power of these, components for the ecosystem, for the cloud ecosystem. Yes, pipelines is a great tool, I agree. But there is much more that we should definitely explain and, promote. That's Kubeflow, it's more than just the pipelines.
Absolutely. And that's not debating here. All I'm saying is that there are a category of users who want a platform, and then there are a category of users who want individual components. Let's help them find the install. And even if they're sometimes the same person, there's no reason they can't just be pages.
But Matthew, here's something to think about, right? If I'm a pipelines person looking just to use a pipelines system, I may not care about all the multi-user and platform type stuff. If I'm just looking to use a training operator, I may not need all that, right? So, but if I'm building infrastructure for an enterprise, I do care about all that multi-user and security stuff. I think they're, kind of two different users at two different journeys in a lot of times. But in the same respect, I think that showing them both, that we have both of them in one is not a bad thing. I don't think, I didn't find it to be too hard to consume, but I'll read it again. I think we're just going around in circles.
No, but like none of what you've said is like a negative against having 2 pages. If anything, it's a positive.
I agree. And my take though was I kind of liked having it in one page because I saw all my options. And I could see, okay, I could go this way, I could go this way, I could go this way. But let me read it again and I'll put down my comments. I don't know that you guys are getting anywhere with this conversation. I mean, are you getting to a point where you're agreeing?
Like the proposed PR will, like, it's not good for okay. All I'm saying, it's not good for users or the project. That's what I'm saying. Like, users already struggle to install Kubeflow, and the installing Kubeflow page isn't that bad right now. All it's missing is the information that you can install some components separately. And then it becomes the question of, okay, there's actually a little bit of a technical difference when you install it individually. You don't get a platform, you get a component, right? Or you can't install a component because Notebooks doesn't support non-platform deployment. And
yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah, anyway, I have to go as well, but like 9:30. But yeah, all I'm saying is I don't know how we unstuck this, but like there's a reason I'm pushing very hard here. Like, it's not out of personal interest, it's that people already struggle to install Kubeflow. This will make it worse. So let's make it better instead. That's my proposal. Anyway.
All right, then probably let's meet up for the next community call.
Yeah.
Because we have 30 minutes over time.
Yeah, thanks guys. I'm gonna stop the recording.
Yeah, I need to drop